Imagine you are building a simple application to manage students in a school. At first, everything seems fine. You create a few variables like name, age, and marks, and then you write a few functions to display that information. But what happens when there are 1000 students in a school? Your program suddenly becomes difficult to manage, and variables are scattered everywhere. Functions become confusing, and the code grows larger and larger. And this is exactly the problem that object oriented programming, or OOP, was designed to solve. In this video, you will learn what OOP is, why it exists, and why almost every professional Python developer uses it. By the end of this lesson, you will clearly understand the foundation of OOP before we start creating our own objects and classes. So let's get started. So before understanding what object-oriented programming is, let's first understand what programming actually is. And programming is simply the process of giving instructions to a computer, and these instructions tell the computer what to do. For example, you may ask a computer to add two numbers, print a message, display user information or save user information, display images, or connect to a database. Every application you use today, whether it's a Facebook, Instagram, ChatGPT, or WhatsApp, is simply millions of programming instructions working together. Over the years, programmers have developed different ways to organize the code, and some of the common programming paradigms are procedural programming, functional programming, and object-oriented programming. So today we will focus on object-oriented programming, but before that, let's understand what procedural programming is. So procedural programming means writing code step by step using functions and variables, and for small programs this works perfectly. Let's see an example first. Let me declare variables and create functions for that. Let's say I have a student name is equals to Peter, and student age is equals to 30, and then student marks should be 85. And let's create a function to display all this information, and we will name a function display display student, and we'll print student name, and then print student age, and the last one is student marks. Now but before that we have to call the function, and to call a function we'll simply write the name of the function, display student, and we got Peter 30 and 85. So what is the problem? Now imagine if we have another student or another student, and imagine if we have 100 students or 1000 students. Can you imagine writing variables like this? No professional developers does this. It becomes impossible to maintain. And another problem is, what if every student needs functions like display student, calculate grade, update marks, and delete student? Now the code becomes much bigger, and you lose track of which variables belong to which student. Now imagine the real example of a procedural programming, that is, for example, a parking lot. Every car has a car, a brand, a model, an engine, a speed, and an owner. Now imagine storing every car like this. This works for 3 cars, but not for 10,000 cars. We need a better solution, and then the birth of the OOP came into being, and this is exactly why object-oriented programming was invented. Instead of separating data and functions, OOP combines them into one unit called an object. Think about your phone. Your phone has a brand, a model, a RAM, storage, battery, camera, and many other properties. It also performs actions. It can make calls, take pictures, play videos, send messages, and browse the internet. Notice something interesting? The phone contains both its data and the actions, and this is exactly how OOP works. Let's understand objects. So everything around us can be considered an object. For example, a car, a laptop, a mobile phone, a student, a teacher, a bank account, a hospital patient, and even you are an object. And every object has two things: properties and behaviors. For example, a car has properties like brand, color, speed, fuel, model, and behaviors like start, stop, accelerate, brake, turn. And a person has name, age, height, weight, address, phone number. These are properties, and the same person can walk, run, eat, sleep, talk, and these are behaviors. So mapping these examples to Python, properties become variable, behavior becomes functions, and together they became an object. So what is OOP? It is a programming style where we organize our code using objects. Instead of storing data separately, we keep related data and related functions together. This makes program clean, organized, reusable, and easy to understand and easy to maintain. So why big companies love OOP? Companies like Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, Netflix, Adobe, and thousands of software companies build their applications using object-oriented programming. Why? Because their software contains millions of lines of code. Without proper organization, maintaining such software would nearly be impossible. Let's summarize the advantages of OOP. Number one, code becomes reusable. Instead of writing code again and again, you write it once and reuse it. Number two, better organization. Related information stays together. Number three, easy maintenance. Updating one part doesn't affect everything else. Number four, scalability. Large applications become much easier to build. And number five, security. OOP allows us to protect important data, and we will learn how in future lessons. And the four pillars of OOP are encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction. And don't worry if these words sound difficult. By the end of this course, you will understand each one with real world projects. So in the next lesson, we will learn the two most important concepts in OOP, classes and objects. We will create our very first class and our first object and understand how Python models real-world objects. Congratulations, you now understand why object-oriented programming exists. Today we learned what programming is, what procedural programming is, its limitations, and why OOP was invented, real-world examples of objects, advantages of OOP, the four pillars of object-oriented programming. In the next lesson, we will start writing our first OOP program by creating classes and objects from scratch. If you enjoyed this lesson, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part of this Python OOP masterclass. I will see you in the next lesson.